talking about it. So I have anecdotal patients. I have a patient whose wife was a hardcore woman in finance, and he couldn't he lost interest in her. He had to go out of the marriage and have affairs with women who were more feminine, who were more so he could feel as if he could play that masculine role. He couldn't do that in his marriage. And so, are we going to see kind of a shift in society as a result of this? We're already seeing it. I mean, the other thing that we're doing is
It's
to
been
young
happening.
boys. Let's talk about what we're doing to young boys. This starts very young. We basically educate young boys in a way that really favors girls. From a very young age, we talk about being able to sit quietly and regulate your emotions and not be aggressive and not be impulsive. And these little boys are being diagnosed with ADHD, many of them just from being little boys. Little boys need to run around. They have a lot of physical energy. They have tons of testosterone. When you're like between 3 and 6, you have a surge of testosterone, and all you want to do is run and jump and play and be outside. And what we're doing, we're putting them in school, making them sit in circle time. So we marginalize them, we label them, we say they have a problem, we say that they have ADHD, they have behavioral problems. And in many of them, the stress that I talked about is the stress of making little boys be more like little girls.
Yeah, in fact, some fathers do it too. Um, when their sons are all over the place, breaking things, a house, running around, they're more energetic. They don't care to go outside and run and do whatever they want to do. They're always screaming, "Why don't you be like your little sister? She's more calm. She listens to me." But it's like he's just being a boy. He just wants to play. And then fathers don't play with their sons anymore. Let's talk about it now. Especially in the black community, there's less fathers in the house, but fathers play with their sons less and less these days. Which the father is the first man who shows the boy how to behave, discipline, be like a man, gives him purpose, gives him motivation. But if there's no father figure, the son is probably going to end up, being diagnosed and being directed by the mom, and then obviously mostly uh, female teachers in the school, and then the system.
And that's where it starts. And so then they go into childhood. And again, the educational system favors the way girls learn, not the way boys learn. How do boys learn? Boys
By
have
doing
attention
things.
spans for very short periods of time, and then they need lots of physical activity.
Hmm.
So ideally, if you go to and look at the boys' schools, what do? They run the boys like running the dogs in the park. They sit for 45 minutes or half an hour, but then the boys get time off to run around. And then they'll sit another half an hour and then they'll run around. I mean, they have like 4 recess periods a day. And so that's really better for boys. And little girls have more of a capacity to sit quietly in circle time and sort of, they don't have as much testosterone. They don't have that need to run and jump and play to the same degree that little boys do. They do need to play. We're not letting our kids play, boys and girls, because we're trying to force left brain development on them too early. But we are forcing little boys into this box, and they're not doing well in that box. And then they're labeled. They're labeled as having behavioral problems, ADHD, and that label then follows them.
Yeah, that label follows them, and all the way to adulthood, from being ADHD to being to I don't know, lack of being indisciplined. When they grow up, they're called toxic masculinity, misogyny, and all those stupid shaming languages they use.
Through childhood, sometimes into middle school, into high school. Yeah.
What would you change? I make you prime minister of the world, president of the world, and you can fix this issue.
Oh, I would have little boys educated separately than little girls in the early years. In the early years, I would have boys' schools and girls' schools because little girls learn differently. And also, there's been a lot of evidence to show that in the early years, when you do single gender education, little girls will try things, will take risks with things that they wouldn't in front of little boys, and little boys will try things that they wouldn't take risks in front of little girls. Like little boys are more likely to try art and painting and music. Little girls are more likely to try STEM and math and all these things that we talk about little girls should do. So the idea is that single gender education in the early years is better for little kids because they learn differently.
What about as a
Personally, what I would change, I would make sure that every boy is raised by his dad. So for the single moms who are of their sons raising their sons, if the dads or the fathers are dead, give the son to the next uncle, who obviously it's gotta be upstanding uncle, good behavior, good character, you know, a good man who can raise a boy into a man. So for me, that's what I would do, and I would make sure. You see how single moms get support from the government, whether it's benefits, whatever, for single moms to raise the kids. I would do the same funding for fathers who are going to be active fathers in their son's life. I would give them a little bit of money to help raise boys into men.
relates to men, what would you change to fix the issues you were talking about with testosterone and those kinds of issues?
Talk about it. We should be talking about it. We don't talk about this issue. How many times have you heard what I just said? People don't talk about the fact that
Facts.
when you if we're going to flip this around and have men be the nurturers, they're going to have pretty low testosterone. You're going to have to supplement their testosterone. And so, and also you take their purpose away evolutionarily and they get depressed. Women have many sources of self-esteem. They have work, they have children, they're relational. And for the most part,
Friends too.
historically, men found their self-esteem from meaningful and purposeful work, and also from protecting their families. So what we've done is we've taken their purposeful work outside the home away. We've made their purposeful work staying home with children, and we've lowered the testosterone. So if you look at it and say, we're trying to switch, it's like a social experiment. We're trying to change something that's taken thousands of years of evolution to create in just, less than 100 years. And it's problematic. So what would I do? I would talk about it. I would have couples talk about it. I think they need to talk about the competitiveness. I think they need to talk about the envy and the jealousy and even the disappointment. I mean, a woman who comes home and sees her husband caring for the children, on the one hand, she might say, oh, my husband's so sweet and lovely, and I love that he cares for my children. And on the other hand, she says to her friends, I wish he was bringing in more money, and I wish he was taking care, I wish he was taking care of me. So it's problematic.
There was a longitudinal study done in the Philippines.
Personally, the talking about it is a good step, but the only issue is the people who talk about these issues. For example, in that case, if it's a woman talking about it, other women are gonna call it pick me, and then the men who speak about it, they're called toxic, misogynist. They say they hate women. So most men, there is more talk about men issues men are suffering, but again, the men who talk about it are being attacked every single day. It's like if someone tries to say something positive about men, people turn it into you hate women, which is not a fair assessment. But anyway, shout out to Diary of a Daily CEO. So I'll put the link down below.